towards a customs official going, but I wasn't laughing, and then as she waves to me, I look at her and just go,
I don't always remember what I say.
It is weird, like people tweet you like, that was the best line I've ever heard, and you go, what?
Well, it's weird because I don't, once I do, like, I don't listen to the episodes. I mean, if I have the real conversation, that's usually it, unless my producer wants me to hear something, or we have to go over some stuff. But my memory of any of the conversations is just as a conversation. I don't always remember what transpired.
It's really a great show, man.
Thanks, man.
And this is what I like the most about it. It's the most odd. It's such an odd placing of Mark Maron because from
the guy
Yeah, and also from listening to your podcast, you are admittedly the outsider, growing up the outsider. Boston, it's you looking in at Cross and Keitling are like, hey guys, like maybe we could all hang out sometime to your own embarrassment. And then in, San Francisco, looking at Paula and like Bob and all those guys, like you were always sort of the outsider. And when I was with you in New York, it was like the Village Gate and like Hicks is going on.
Yeah.
And then,
there's that great Hicks moment there. I told you that story. Did you hear me tell that story?
When he was yelling at the lady in the front row.
Yeah,
but now, through the podcast, you're the guy. You're the star quarterback of the football team, and we're all outsiders looking in at you, but somehow only you could spin that into remaining the outsider because you're on an island as this pioneer of you and Corolla are fucking Lewis and Clark, and the rest of us are just fucking Mormons hacking westward. Is that fair? Is that fair to say? Do you feel like an outsider now?
You call yourself Sacagawea.
I'm Sacagawea. Following you.
I don't know if I don't feel like an outsider, but like what it comes down to is I think for the first time I can actually own, who I am and what I do. Like when I see other guys doing it, obviously I'm very pro comic and I want people to find opportunities for themselves, and I've gotten a lot more diplomatic around that stuff. I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten more giving and a little more humble, and I don't get that aggravated about it. But like if it's a great medium, so I don't necessarily see myself as a pioneer. I see myself as a guy who did something when I was down for the count and desperate and in a bad way, and it was an opportunity. Like I had to take it on myself to try this thing, and I think my timing, for the first time in my life, was pretty good.
It was exact.
And I think I brought something to the medium that really wasn't there yet, and it was just the way I do things. So,
what made you think I'm going to do a bi-weekly podcast? Bi-weekly just sounded weird in my head.
Ultimately, bi-weekly.
I'm going to do a bi-weekly podcast.
Some days, I don't know, I'm not going to chase the joke down because I can't look good in it. But, no, I'm not going to win that joke.
So it's amazing to me, like when I read your comments, there's comments from 2009, and I go, wow, this guy's been doing it a long fucking time.
I swear to God, man, at the beginning, I just gotten fired from a radio job again.
NPR?
Yeah, at Air America. No.
How do you get fired from Air America?
They go bankrupt.
Oh, that's really the key to staying employed.
Sure. Yeah. So, I was doing this online video show, and I went through that second divorce, and I was broke, and I wasn't doing much stand-up. My manager was like, this is a horrible moment when your manager goes, I don't know what we're going to do. You don't know? So that was washed up. So I knew people were doing podcasts. I knew Corolla was. I knew Kevin was and Pardo. I had not even listened to them, but I said to my producer, I said, can we figure out how to do this?
How do you know your producer?
I work with him on the radio.
Okay.
My original producer.
So you brought a radio mentality to...
Not really. I just I knew that we didn't know what we were going to do. And basically we broke into the Air America studios because they fired us, but being good liberals, we still were under contract. So they let us keep our office and our security cards.
There you go.
So we went in there. And I said, well, I don't know what we're going to do here, but let's just turn on the mics. At first, I had other guys in there. Sometimes I'd have two guests. Sometimes I'd have phoners. But I knew I was okay on the mic, so I just wanted to see what evolved. So we did about 10 or 12 shows like that. And the only thing we said was, we're going to do 2 a week, Monday and Thursday. That's all we know right now, but we're going to stay on that. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to put a show up. That was all we knew. And then it sort of evolved into what it became.
I talk about Outliers a lot. You ever read that book?
Well, I hear about it.
And it's really interesting. Like everybody that's successful, it's the synchronicity and this confluence of events. It's never like he's an overnight success and then he just found fucking podcasting. Like you put in your 10,000 hours. Yeah, that's the formula they got.
And 5,000 of them were masturbating, and 2,000 of them were just me going, I'm fucked. So I guess they all count though.
They do all count. So by the time you were up and running at Air America, you had your 10,000 hours in, which is the formula they
Not
came up
in radio,
with.
though.
No, but just talking and talking as this is me, Mark, and you're out there, I'm in
I
here.
was petrified,
and this was
dude.
bothering me.
I was petrified. At Air America, are you fucking kidding me? I just bought a house out there. I'd never bought a house before, but I was with a woman
Not inside my house.
No. I didn't buy a house in there.
Out there.
No. Yeah, my house could fit in your house in this bottom part.
Okay.
But
let's do it, man.
Yeah, all right, man.
We're making sweet podcast love
You know a guy with a truck? So I buy that house and I don't have work. You know, I bought the house because I had some deal money, and the deal went south, and I get a call from I guess it was Garofalo, who said Winstead was looking for for people for this new thing, this liberal, radio thing. And I've never been a political comic, but I'm certainly a reactionary guy. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to be part of it. Yeah. So I had no idea about radio. And honestly, I had no fucking clue about politics. So, I'm just a reactionary guy.
Fake
like, hey, Bush sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had no basic understanding of this shit, in a nuanced way, which I thought was necessary. So I freaked out. I married the woman I was living with. So in my mind, she wouldn't leave me because she didn't want to go back to New York. We got married in my backyard. It's not going to go well when we both decide, like, no fathers. Okay. So, so we got married in my backyard with no fathers. Mothers came and a few friends. Someone made a cake. And I flew to New York. But I swear to you, man, I show up at Air America. I never done radio before, and I got a book, like the American Government for Dummies book.
Really?
Yeah. So I show up with my American Government for Dummies, whatever it was. And I'm like, okay, I just got to cram this shit. I got to know what, how the Senate works. I got to know all their names. And I was sitting there cramming stuff. And a lot of the guys I was working with, they weren't radio guys except for a couple of them, the younger guys. But the main producer was a TV guy. And eventually, as I got more comfortable on the mic, I'm like, I know enough about politics. My partner was, the straight man, and he was on top of it, and I sort of started to get into the narrative, but I started to integrate myself into it. And once I started to feel that happen, I was like, this is the best medium in the world. To do live radio when people are driving to work, I have a lot of respect for morning shows.
Yeah.
I may bust their balls a little bit, but when you walk into one as a comic and they're all clicking and you jump in and it goes, it's great. And I never really understood what they go through until I did morning radio, because you're up at 3 in the fucking morning.
Time
well, you're up at 3 in the morning, right? And you're getting people to work, and you're keeping the juice up. And if you got a guest, all you're thinking is like, this guy better not shit the bed. We've got a good thing going here. I don't want to carry this motherfucker's weight, whoever it is. And I know that now when I go in, because you hear these guys on the road. When you go do morning radio, they're like, we don't do a lot of comics anymore, because some of them come in, they just sit there.
Yeah.
And and then you realize, like, well, you got to get into it and I just love I love that it's live, though.
Did you take calls on your radio show?
Yeah, sometimes. Sure. We took calls.
That seems way up your alley. Like, if you being reactionary to people being unhappy with what you'd said seems like something I don't want to listen to a lot.
I was nervous, so I didn't because I was never that confident with my my knowledge of politics, even when I was in it. Like, I didn't want to argue policy. I was still in a political show. So what we did, we just loaded up comedy. We did a lot of sketches. We did character stuff. I had a bunch of dudes there.
Dressed up comedy.
Well, I forced the guys to wear costumes if they were going to do a voice. Like, if someone was going to do George Washington, I'm like, I know it's 6:30 in the morning, but really I want this to feel real because you put the hat on. A lot of that. They still resent me, those guys. I see them today, and they're like, well, you want me to wear a fucking hat to talk to you?
Where's your powdered wig?
Yeah, where's your powdered wig?
That powdered wig is late.
Go get your powdered wig.
Now go get your powdered motherfucking Hessian. Keep him here.
Where's your fucking powdered wig?
Motherfucking mutt. Keep him here. Nah, fuck that Hessian. Ruined my fucking party. Fucking Tory.
Yeah, and then kicking the Donovan song. Way down.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Who were your first guests when you started doing the pod? Like, who were like your
first guest was Jeff Ross.
Really?
Very first one.
The Roastmaster General. Yeah,
I immediately was like, I got to talk to dudes. I got to talk to comics, and I wanted. I had no way. Like, I made a choice to get away from politics altogether because it's just a dead end for me. Like, it's not like I'm an angry guy, but it's not completely relative to politics. Like, I didn't want to, because with politics, I still have the same politics, but why cut the audience in half? I knew I just wanted to talk about life and about the challenges that I'm facing. So I knew I wanted to talk to comics. So I had Jeff on the phone for 20 minutes. And I think I had another guy in there, Matthew, was a friend of mine. He was there for a while. And the first few guests were like, Caroline Ray came in, Nick Griffin, Stanhope, Garofalo, Gaffigan, Todd Berry. They were some of the guests.
That's a who's who now.
Yeah.
So then that's great.
Yeah, no, they were great. Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago. But people would. But it was
you
fun.
like I said, you and Corolla.
I don't know. Pardo was at it before us, and Kevin Smith. Yeah.
Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin Smith's the guy that called me because I put a tweet out like, I want to do a podcast. Who can help? And I specifically sent it to people that I knew had like networks.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith just called me, like found out what hotel I was in New York and said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you up and running. We're going to do this. I go, but I want a guy to come to my house because I don't know how to work anything. I want to start now.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, we got you. You're all set. And literally I landed in L.A. and 2 days later, this kid, Matt Cohen, was sitting there.
Doing it?
Just like, go ahead, roll.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was me and fucking Barry Katz talking about SNL auditions.
Yeah, that was, I don't, I knew like when Barry, like, I got an email from Barry who I think, he reads
the most polarizing man in show business.
Yeah, but I got history with him too. But I got an email from him and said, "I just want to thank you for doing a wonderful job. Helping to grow a new medium for comics." I'm like, "Oh, it's over now." Like if Barry Katz is now deemed it a new medium for comics, it's the gates are open.
Mark, you're dynamic. You're just one of those guys, man. He's a guy that has his opinions, and he stays where he is. He doesn't concede, and sometimes, you bang your head on the wall and you get a giant bruise. But sometimes the wall goes away, man, and you're able to go and do what you want to do.
I got, to tell you the truth, I mean, as my personal experience with him was never bad. And, like his reputation is what it is. I don't know the truth about, almost anything. There's a couple of things that I thought I've heard that were kind of, obviously
all news is biased.
Of course.
Yeah.
But like when I first started in Boston, when I came in second in that competition in 1988.
When he was hosting Play It Again Sam's.
Well, he already had the Boston Comedy Company. So he was really the first guy to give me paid work as a comic.
I remember it was a $900 check. And he had you like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you just did this loop. Like Massachusetts, Connecticut,
absolutely,
Providence, Rhode Island. And then you come back and you go New Hampshire, and you go in the basement of his apartment in Allston. And Nina would hand you a $900 check. Right. And I was like 20 years old, 19, going, holy shit.
It's great.
This is my career.
Oh, or you'd have to go over there to the office in the basement where he lived.
Yeah.
And Nina would give you those directions. You remember the fucking directions?
Hey, Mark, it's Nina.
Yeah. And then there was
directions to the Tipperary pub in Warwick, Rhode Island.
Tipperary. What was that? That was a real place.
That was a rough fucking joint.
That was a tough gig. You remember there were actually good ones. Like if you got the Taunton Regency, which was
Taunton Regency was amazing.
It was a hotel.
Not as good. T-Birds. Portland,
Maine.
Was like 700 people. They would turn dance music off, which is always the disastrous.
T-Birds was like the 50s diner that exploded. Yeah. I did that with Frank Santarelli.
Yes. Yeah. And they like the recipe for disaster for comedy during the comedy boom was like, we're going to have everybody dance.
Yeah.
Disco dance, and then we're going to cut off the music, and I'll bring you out. You tell your jokes.
Yeah.
And then we'll have the kids dance some more.
Yeah.
And then you go up, and they go, what the fuck's how you suck? But at T-Birds, they all were, it was very Maine.
Stopped. Well,
they would stop and go, oh, this is delightful.
Yeah.
A comedy show has broken out.
Well, they were excited because Barry would book comedy fucking anywhere. You didn't know what you were walking into. I don't know if he even vetted people. I mean, there were gigs I walk into where they'd be like these newer gigs. Like he just subcontract gigs out to places. You drive 2 hours. You'd walk into a bar. There'd be like a bar in front, and they're like the comedy's in back, and there's 12 guys in the bar in front. You walk into the back. There's no one in there. And you realize there's no one coming.
Doesn't matter, man. It's not about the amount of people. It's about you having a place to share your ideas.
Would happen? Yeah, exactly. What would happen?
Dry cleaners, but you know what? The Koreans and the Asian market, it's untapped here in Austin.
It was nuts.
People ironing shirts don't deserve a laugh.
Yeah, it was nuts because you knew some of those gigs, they didn't last. It was just a one night thing, and some guy had a big idea, so they called Barry up. Barry gets his nut, and then you're performing for the guy that had the gig with a guitar amp and a fucking microphone, and you would drive hours. There was a gig. What was that one? The one down on was it Nantucket where you couldn't leave? You'd have to take a boat. You got to take a boat to do
I
that.
never did that one.
No, you got to take a boat to the
there was a Martha's Vineyard one.
The Muse. I think Nantucket was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. That was okay. But then, yeah, the Muse was in Martha's Vineyard, where you got to take a boat.
I think you got them backwards. No?
Whatever. I don't fucking know. All I knew is that I was stuck in a band house made out of cinder blocks with bunk beds with who was high. All right, so I'm sitting there trying to go to bed and like grinding his teeth, and I'm like, holy shit.
I was with Jonathan Solomon, and he took a plane to Martha's Vineyard, and I was like, this guy must be filthy rich.
Yeah.
And then you realize, no, he's just spending money hand over fist. There's really no reason to take the Kennedy Express. Like, you could just take the fucking ferry like
you take a
everybody
boat,
else.
but like all you want to do is get the fuck out of there after you're done because, it's an island. It usually doesn't go well. You're not, and there's nowhere to
work. It was like the Village Gate, and like Hicks is going on.
Yeah.
And then,
There's that great Hicks moment there. I told you know that story? Did you hear me tell that story?
when he was yelling at the lady in the front row.
Yeah,
but now, through the podcast, you're the guy. You're the star quarterback of the football team, and we're all outsiders looking in at you. But somehow, only you could spin that into remaining the outsider because you're on an island as this
guy.
Yeah, and also from listening to your podcast, you are admittedly the outsider, growing up the outsider, Boston. It's you looking in at Cross and Keitling are like, hey guys, like maybe we could all hang out sometime to your own embarrassment. And then in San Francisco, looking at Paula and like Bob and all those guys, like you were always sort of the outsider. And when I was with you in New York, you and Corolla are fucking Lewis and Clark, and the rest of us are just fucking Mormons hacking westward. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Well,
do you feel like an outsider now?
Call yourself Sacagawea.
I'm Sacagawea. Following you.
I don't know if I don't feel like an outsider, but like what it comes down to is I think for the first time I can actually own who I am and what I do. Like when I see other guys
towards a customs official going, but I wasn't laughing, and then as she waves to me, I look at her and just go,
I don't always remember what I say.
It is weird, like people tweet you like, that was the best line I've ever heard, and you go, what?
Well, it's weird because I don't, once I do, like I don't listen to the episodes. I mean, if I have the real conversation, that's usually it, unless my producer wants me to hear something, or we have to go over some stuff. But my memory of any of the conversations is just as a conversation. I don't always remember what transpired.
It's really a great show, man.
Thanks, man.
And this is what I like the most about it. It's the most odd. It's such an odd placing of Mark Maron because you
from the